Hello and welcome to episode 271 of The Crate and Crowbar. It is the 6th of February 2019. My name is Chris Thurston and tonight I'm joined by Philippa Waugh.
Hi.
And Alex Wiltshire.
Hi.
Oh, wow. A burst of energy. Shouty energy from Alex.
Yeah. I thought I'd compensate for Pip there.
I'm not the one that's lying down.
Oh,
Alex
that's where I got all the energy from. I'm conserving it.
Well, you've peaked.
Yeah, that's it.
Alex is completely horizontal, face down on the floor at the moment. We've had to install a special microphone just so that he can
Into the
shout
floor.
at us.
It's in the kitchen.
Like a grill.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking through the ceiling.
It's the only way he can have opinions anymore. But we've all found our own ways to keep it going after so long of doing this podcast, haven't we?
Yeah, he just came through the door, went full George Michael Bluth.
Yeah. That's where I mine the opinion from. Below.
The carpet. Just like, oh, someone dropped a little bit of
Some morsels.
hot take.
Some morsels of take.
They're a bit cold, but I swear they're still good.
A little bit dry.
A cold, dry take.
So what are we going to dig out of the bins and feast on now?
So there is actually some news this week in a kind of actual, a thing happened kind of way. Yeah.
It feels like there should be more news.
It's
It
February.
really does. Well, yeah, but like I remember back in the olden days when there was all sorts of news happening all the time. There'd be like scandals all the time. Like someone would say something and then there'd be
Is
lots of...
this
This would
not
happen day upon day.
because-
But like now, like everything's shut down. All
Can I just put forward the idea that you've absolutely just decided in your mind tank to not remember the days when nothing happened, and so all you're remembering
I admit
is
that I
the
didn't look
days
at any
when news
internet
happened.
or Twitter or anything all day.
Also, I mean, as we were chatting earlier before we were recording, you did an unironic in my day, Alex. So I think you might need to just check yourself a little bit.
No, I'm relaxing into that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm now imagining you like going, oh, there's just so much news, and then like playing with a yo-yo for 4 hours straight, just like,
Yeah, I think honestly,
all the news.
I think you're mistaking, people not saying stupid things occasionally on the internet for them that happening literally all of the time, so much that it's no longer news.
Or maybe you've stopped caring. That's the thing. You're just like, there's no news anymore because there's nothing I care.
Nothing arrived in front of my eyeballs, and therefore there was no news.
Nobody force-fed me some pap. News pap.
Moose pap.
I mean, obviously you're just thinking back to the heady days of several weeks ago when we could talk for hours about what shops were and why. But
Did I miss this?
Maybe that's it. It's just some
Store
sort of come
Wars.
down from the Store Wars.
yeah,
I actually saw some residual Store Wars come down with
beg your pardon?
Somebody from Take Two had an opinion about the Epic Store, and that
so
was apparently big news.
that was today, and that's exactly the kind of news you were just saying doesn't happen.
Yeah. Look. So you don't agree with what I say.
I feel like we might have to roll you to a different area of the carpet, Alex. This patch is done.
Well, you rolled me there.
Grazing. Right.
So the actual thing that happened this week, and I don't think we were necessarily expecting this, is Respawn, makers of lovely Titanfall, announced and released a game, and it's really good. That sort of just thumped out of nowhere. It sort of leaked a bit, but I don't know whether deliberately or not. But that was
it felt slightly on purpose to get eyes on the announcement.
Yeah. And I think so this is Apex Legends, which is a bad name for a computer game.
It's very...
It feels like the name that you'd give to a keyboard that you were worried might not sell.
Yeah, that's a mouse. You've named a mouse there.
Do you think that, it was like definitely like a keytar kind of a keyboard at that.
Yeah, it would have the most RGB that you've ever seen.
Yeah, it sounds like charitably, it sounds like a name for a mobile game that would have ripped off Command and Conquer R in its thumbnail.
It would be advertised on lots of other games that looked quite like it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a good name. It would be a good name for a sort of future tech reskin of Clash of Clans. I think that's probably what you could call that.
I don't understand the Legends part. Like, Apex, to me, I mean, Apex does kind of sound like a sort of bell-end clothes shop.
Yeah.
But it also does have the sort of Predator kind of implication.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Legends is kind of like, you've really whiffed it there, haven't you?
So, yeah, you're right. Apex Legends is a great name for a loyalty card scheme for a quite laddie hiking shop.
Yeah. Or it could be the two teams in The Apprentice.
Yeah.
Oh
Apex
my God,
and
yeah.
Ledge. Team Ledge.
Yeah. So the reason it's called, I think Apex is a faction from Titanfall. It's set in the Titanfall universe.
Or to go with games, you could have Evolve as the other.
Apex. Well, actually, Evolve is an interesting comparison to Apex Legends for completely different reasons as an actual game Evolve. But
So what's Evolve then? I mean, Apex.
so I don't know. I can't remember what Apex is. The reason it's Legends is they did something that is very brave, but many people have tried and never works. Which is, you know, when
Is that not just stupid?
yeah.
Like, if nobody else has done it, you just like, you've not learned.
Well, no, also, they've embarked into territory which maybe people just haven't accepted this isn't possible yet. But you know how we live in the age of, you know, hero shooters where shooter characters are a bit like MOBA characters.
Right.
And you know how MOBAs tried for a while to have their own words for what heroes were. So League of
Yeah.
Legends has champions and Dota has heroes and Smite has gods and so on. We ran out of those words. Hero, champion, whatever. So in this they're called Legends. And it doesn't quite
So that is a name for the collective, is
yeah,
it? Right.
the characters are the legends.
That
You pick them
really
from the
is
Legends
just
tab.
The most basic thesaurus naming.
Come on, we've got to think. We're going to have to go for the last one on the list.
Yeah.
Chris, could you bring up some other
No.
other
What,
candidates?
synonyms? All right, hang on.
for-
I
yeah,
have to
what
Google.
else?
Are we going for?
Yeah.
What are we going for? From
I think it's
heroes,
hero, right?
We're going for heroes.
They're
Right, yeah.
superheroes. Functionally, they're superheroes.
But
so.
if they've based it on the DNA of Titanfall, why not Titans? Why not
Because
Apex Titans?
Because Titans
those
is
are the
really
robots.
specific in that setting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that is a better name.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
So hero synonyms listed, thanks to Google, are Brave Man,
Brave Man.
Wow, okay.
Apex, Brave Man.
Champion, already taken.
Yeah.
Man of Courage. I think because I wrote hero rather than heroine, it's...
Well, I
it's
mean,
like, but even
it's
then,
decided it's very gendered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great Man. Man of the Hour.
What? These are
I feel
awful.
like-
Come on,
Conquering
Google.
Hero.
Google, come on.
Victor.
Why not Apex
Apex
Conquerors?
Victor is quite good. Apex Victor
Or
is
something.
Winner. Conqueror. Lionheart.
Oh, for goodness
Warrior. Paladin. Already taken by Paladins. Knight. White Hat.
White Hat?
As in hacker, I guess. Chevalier. Or Chevalier. Star, Idol, Superstar, Megastar, Celebrity. Apex Celebrities would be good. Luminary.
Actually.
Lion. Just the word lion. I suppose you
Apex
can't say-
Lion.
Apex Lion. Ideal Man.
Deal, man.
Paragon. Taken by Paragon.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. That one's up for grabs. Exemplar. Shining Example. Perfect Example. Knight in Shining Armor. Favorite. Darling. We found
Yeah,
it.
there
It's
we go.
Darling.
Apex Darlings.
Apex Darlings. Okay, so what it should have been called. Got there in the end. So what you just got was a little insight into how all things are written.
And that is now the last game. There was no other word there
Yeah.
that could possibly
Yeah.
work for.
So if you are
red-blooded
if you're a game
video
developer
game.
and you're currently working on a MOBA or hero shooter or any game with this type of kind of like,
You're doomed.
no, Darlings is the only word you're allowed to use now.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but what it is, so I feel like now that we've gotten the taking the piss out of the name stage out of the way, I'd like to talk about, why this is really good. If that's acceptable to everybody. Have you played it? Alex, you've only played the tutorial.
I haven't had time to play the full game, but yeah, I've played the tutorial.
So what
I
it is,
haven't even seen a picture of it.
that's to see what comes to your mind. So it's worth sort of explaining what bits of Titanfall are in it straight away rather than like people getting hung up on it. Cause I think I don't want to maybe infer too much intent into those leaks and things, but it feels like they communicated it very well by having people go, oh, it's Titanfall but without Titans straight away.
Yeah.
So that was like accepted and gotten rid of, and then the game was out and people liked it straight away, rather than having that be the thing people dwell on. But yeah, so there's no Titans, but Titanfall always had like really, really good shooting and movement and great feeling everything, basically. It doesn't have wall running either, and only one of the characters.
Yeah, I tried for quite a long time to wall run because it felt like they should be able to.
Yeah.
It's like in the Men Who Stare at Goats, where you just tried to like walk through a wall.
Come on! If I just do parkour. This 15 more times. Yeah.
It even has some of its environments have those big sidings on them from Titanfall. You know, the big wall, like the big panels that you could run along. Yeah. And I don't know whether that's
they're hanging in there as well.
No, not in quite the same way, but I don't know whether that's a nod to the fact that earlier in development it had wall running, or B, the architecture of Titanfall, the universe just includes wall running space.
It's just part of its history.
I mean, there's a lot of parkour in the universe.
I mean, it's like suspending things.
It's par for the cause.
The band. They're just like always on the wall.
Yeah.
Like just run in circles.
I do also get the sense that
the lovely cause, and if they free run under their part-time.
I do get the feeling that quite a lot of stuff in Apex is directly out of Titanfall.
Well, like the weapons and stuff.
Yeah, like literally the weapons, which is a good thing because I really like the Titanfall 2.
Yeah. But it's also undergone a full art style change.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's not like literally reusing the assets. It's, it is a different art style. So it's much cartoonier and more colourful.
Chris, before we go on to the actual shooty dynamics and the actual game thing, but what do you think about the Darlings?
The Darlings are very good.
You like them?
There are 8 Darlings, and they are excellent. Yes.
Huh.
Why?
I was totally uninspired by all of them.
In terms of playing or visuals?
Oh, not playing, because I haven't played yet.
Oh.
Visuals and just sort of, that way that kind of, Overwatch, just all of the characters are immediately colourful. If you can get into the nitty gritty of them and sort of, there may be too archetypal, but the fact is, like, they hit you between the eyes every first time, and they're beautifully kind of presented and animated. In this one, they have all of the kind of the poses and the lines and things you can unlock. I did look into the Legends menu.
It's because they're made for the Funko Pop generation.
So I think
if one cannot recognise it with a bobblehead, what even does it do in this life?
What is it for?
So, I think I don't necessarily have the kind of immediate, sort of punch of a Blizzard thing.
Yeah.
The art style is still closer to realistic than Overwatch is, so the sort of cartoony proportions wouldn't be as easy for them to do, I don't think.
Yeah.
However, I do think, like, they remind me a bit of, Lawbreakers characters.
Yeah, they do.
And but I think they're closer, I think they're a bit more charming on the whole.
Yep.
They definitely, you warm to them with time, which is one thing. I think I am so bored of Overwatch from its storytelling, everything about it, that I quite like this not feeling like Overwatch straight away. Like the fact that it's not the same archetypes, the fact that they're not immediately recognizable sort of sci-fi or fantasy tropes. Like, well, I suppose there's the sort of the GI and stuff, but like, it's hard to explain, but they're
definitely a bit more nuanced. I can sense that there's probably more space in them to do interesting things. Like, there's a douchey guy, for instance.
The douchey guy's really fun, has a lot of good lines. Like, so it's hard to talk about this without getting into mechanics, because you have to talk about abilities and you have to talk about the pinging system, like, which is where all the personality comes through. So I think, as you first see them, it's probably just a bit of a sort of, it's not a huge, however, I mean, kudos, it's a really nicely diverse group, which is nice for a launch lineup.
In fact, in those first, it is literally minutes, I got the sense, that very rare sense of a game that actually knows about places outside of the US and Europe.
Yeah. There's a lot of,
the US anyway.
Yeah, the accents, the diversity of peoples and accents and genders and all of that. And that's nice to see straight away. Like, in fact, you literally, cannot play as a white dude. until you have unlocked one of the old men who is locked initially. And that is, there's so many different angles to come at this from, because I've realized that we've talked about it for like 5-10 minutes now and I haven't said the word battle royale yet. It's a battle royale game. And it feels like top to bottom, like, I don't know if calculated is the right word, but like engineered, right? Like this is obviously, it's really good and has been made with a tremendous amount of, skill, which you'd expect from Respawn because they have consistently made extremely good games. But I think it's also fair to say that this was probably something that was like a savvy decision about what their next project would be, right? It's unlikely that someone was, this emerged from a pure, there are no bad ideas here brainstorming session. This emerged from, this is a smart use of these resources. And so it's enormously pragmatic in a lot of ways, like reusing the Titanfall license and the vocabulary of Titanfall in some ways. Sliding on your bum mostly is the thing that survives. But it feels great. All of that stuff, taking the, battle pass system from Fortnite, which it got from Dota, and importing that as its model for payment because players like that. And it's going to avoid a lot of, attendant kind of controversies in other systems. Getting that sort of right first time because that's how other games did it. Basically borrowing the kind of, sort of loadout of a hero from Overwatch. So ultimate sort of tactical ability and passive, pretty much, although, not taking unique weapons per hero, having them everyone able to use every weapon. It's a lot of like smart borrowings, if that makes sense. And so in that context, its roster, the sort of diversity and visual interest of its roster, the variety of body types, all of this stuff that they're kind of getting ready off the bat is interesting to me in the context of a game that is otherwise hyper calculated in what it is designed to do, which is to bring in a lot of players and be EA's battle royale game. So there's all that stuff to it. I think, it is, and that applies to, I played a fair bit of it now, even though it's only been out for a couple of days, and I really, really like it. Like, they've almost, it feels, it's the first intentional battle royale that I really liked. I suppose you could call PUBG an intentional game to some extent, but it's also very much an adaptation of a mod. Yeah. Fortnite Battle Royale is a mode bolted to a completely different game. This is ground up designed people who are used to designing team objective based competitive FPS games, having a go at making this genre and doing like a really clever job of making every single part of it less painful. Like there's so many, I'll probably return to it because there's so many different things you point at, like the UI for inventory management and swapping things out is like, it's so friendly and well handled. And, initially there's a little bit to learn in terms of what icons mean and things, but as soon as you've got far less than there would be in like a PUBG or something. And once you've gotten it, it's so, seamless to kind of quickly make decisions. So if I'm holding a particular type of gun and it takes this particular type of ammo, then, if I'm holding either attachments that aren't compatible or ammo that isn't for it, they'll have a little icon on them in my inventory to let me know I can drop them because there's nothing I can do with them. Applicable upgrades for weapons are automatically applied to a weapon if you have them both in your inventory at the same time.
Right, so you have to go into the menu to...
Basically never. Yeah. But if you pick up a new gun that is compatible with some of your upgrades on the gun you're about to swap it with, it tells you which ones will transfer and the rest of them you just drop. And it's all of these like little small things that just speak to like hours of like tweaking and testing. And if you're interested in just like how shooters are made to feel good, like every click in that game is a proper big old crunchy, satisfying thing. It's really, really nicely done. And then there are things like, the ping system, which is genuinely, a really great achievement. Like, so, one thing that separates it from, Fortnite and PUBG and most Battle Royale games is the fact that it's exclusively squads. You have to play in a squad of 3. There is no solo. And that's because it's got a class system and lots of these other abilities and things. And I think it might have gone further towards solving the issue of strangers cooperating in quite a cooperation heavy game of any game I've ever played. Like, it's remarkable how much it's been working for me in the last couple of days. And the way it does this, apart from giving you clear objectives, there's 2 layers that are really cool. One is, the ping system. So You have a context sensitive ping, which is on your middle mouse button by default, but you can also hold it for a radial wheel. And they've picked exactly the things you need to say. And once you learn where they all are, you can ping an area to say someone's been here. You can ping an area to say someone is here. You can say, I want to loot here. I want to watch here. I want to go here. And these are all like, that vocabulary is almost all you need in a battle royale. Like there's a different, being able to specify the difference between I want to go there and I want to watch that area. I think they're over there, that kind of thing. It's really seamless. And all of that stuff, when you do ping, is voiced in the particular mannerisms of the character that you're playing, which is where the personality starts to come through. And it's far more organic feeling than, like, say, an Overwatch, where people are mostly just shouting their big barks all of the time. It's more like they're constantly talking. It's just a lot of small, relatively subtle observations about the environment.
So people using the ping?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everyone uses it all the time because it's really, really useful.
Because I almost missed it in the tutorial. Like, I was just sort of hammering the buttons because there's you got to perform all of the action, like the interactions to, tick them off, and then you go through. And
the tutorial is just, here are the controls.
Yeah. No, it's not a criticism of the tutorial. It's, I just wondered whether people would actually pick up on the
Yeah, that's the thing that's remarkable is they really have. And there's lots of subtle things, like there's an always available thank you button. Pressing H at any time is a context-sensitive thanks, which is a really cool thing, and it can be really specific. So, if you're looking at something that someone else just dropped, you'll say thank you for that thing. So it's just like a really interesting kind of way of getting people to sort of interact with each other.
How sarcastically could it be used?
Yeah, like thanks, fucko.
Yeah,
you could do. Although I think also the structure of like it's us against the universe helps people not be dicks. You can also do things like if you context ping someone else's ping, like their little waypoint, you agree to whatever that is.
Huh.
So if someone's pinged, I want to go over here, and you ping that, you go, okay. And then, it's like they see that you've registered to like do that thing. It's really like just that system is just like super nicely done. Like I've been playing loads of Battlefield, and it's so much better than Battlefield's equivalent system, which is mostly sort of pointing and going, like hoping you tag an enemy so that you go, there's an enemy over there. It's really good. And, it's made it consistently fun to play both with friends because it helps you share information much more easily. And I've genuinely had really good games with strangers where we haven't had to use any kind of text or voice because it's obvious what people are wanting to do. Like, played a game on my lunch break today where we won. It was like a standoff in the final zone, and I just said, I will watch this. Like, there were 3 different areas the final enemy squad could come from, and I could communicate, I'm going to stay here and watch this area with like 2 quick flicks of the mouse, which is super cool. And then having that be instantly translated because it's a voice line is great. The other thing is that your characters also talk constantly, about stuff that's happening in a really nice dynamic way. So, you have the sort of setup is it's kind of like a dangerous TV show or something. And so you have an announcer, who announces that certain things have happened. And your characters will react to that and talk about that. But also, they will say things like, the next circle's really far away, just without you having to even look. Or like, it's only about 30 seconds away. And they're always exactly right, because why wouldn't they be? But they've done a lot of work to make these really clever little context sensitive.
And they're just keeping you in the world, not looking at maps and not looking at inventory screens.
Yeah, you can't really get caught out like, oh, we didn't realize the circle was going to be so far away, because your characters will have said it. Or like, they'll even say things like, the circle's close and not all of us are inside. It'll refer to how many of the squad are currently in or out of the circle. Like, and different characters will say that. Like, really friendly stuff. I could bang on about that more, but I won't. And then on top of that, obviously there's lots of nice weapons and things and cool systems. And there's just loads and loads of like, just stuff going on that makes it interesting. So at the very beginning of the match, one area is highlighted as like, this area will have good loot. And everyone can see where that is. And so that's maybe an obvious early drop zone, depending if it's close to the flight path.
How are you dropping in? Is it a flight path?
It's a flight path, but there's a cool system where one person in a squad is the designated jump master. And that person by default controls all of you.
Huh.
So they choose when you jump.
Basically keeping everybody together.
Yeah, but you can ping. And people can opt out. They can say, like, I'd rather, you can say, I don't want to be the jump master, and you can also say, I don't want to do what you tell me. But most people stick together, at least until the final, 50 meters before you hit the ground. and that person just controls all three of you. But some of your abilities and things can be used when you're in that mode and stuff. And then there's also like this flying loot ship that flies. It's like an airship kind of thing that flies across the map, has loads of good loot on it. And it always starts from the same point off the coast of the map. And then it flies to a different area. From the start, you can see where it'll eventually land. But again, depending on the flight path of the dropship and everything else, it is possible to try and land on it before it has landed, if that makes sense, to try and like catch it in midair.
Well, you can literally land on the airship's top.
If you are skillful enough and lucky enough where the flight path is. So all those things just, create dynamics, and Battle Royale games are so good at creating sort of like situations. That's what they're good at, is like, multiple teams converging from different angles and things. It just creates these really cool potential moments. And then you have really interesting, character designs that become more interesting with time. Like, none of them are immediately as, obvious what their thing is as like an Overwatch hero might be. But actually, with time, you come to appreciate, how systemsy it all is. Like, there's loads of stuff going on. Like, almost everything that's a projectile does damage. So even the smoke grenade launcher on the lady I like's shoulder does damage. And there's a few just, really neat things that I haven't seen in a shooter before. Particularly, there's a character called Wraith, who's the sort of ninja character. And her passive is this idea that she has like a sixth sense or something, and basically a voice in her head that warns her. She appears in the trailer. And I haven't seen someone use this information in an FPS before, but basically, obviously the game knows what every player knows. And so what it does is it represents her sixth sense by, you literally hear a voice say, they're aiming at you. And it's because the game knows someone else has you in like their sniper scope or whatever. And she hears that, and if you press, this is the only time H isn't thanks, if you press H immediately, she automatically relays that information to the team. So she says, I think they can see me. And it creates these it's a really cool ability because it's strategically really useful. She's not good at finding people, but she's good at not getting found. Often and it's a great addition to a battle royale where so often a sniper shot from ages ago, from far away because you don't realize you've been seen is the thing that turns the whole fight or whatever. Her ability to just go, oh, hang on, something feels wrong. Or the fact that I think if someone's cooking a grenade and aiming the parabola of the grenade through the window, she feels that as well. You don't see it. It's not as obvious as just showing you the laser sight or something like that. She just goes grenade. And it's actually quite atmospheric as well. And it kind of creates.
You go, oh no, where from?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's a really good, I think, specific example of them pulling off a character while also adding something mechanically as well.
What does the amusing robot do?
The amusing robot has a grappling hook, which he can also use to pull people towards him. He has a lot of good lines about being an amusing robot. And he can create a zip line for his team between two places. It's good. What else was I going to say? And then, I have a really, really good time with it. There's so many good, just clever ideas. When you're downed, you're actually really fast compared to how fast you are in other battle royale games. You can just crawl away quite quickly. And you can also get these things called down shields, which is like an energy shield you can hold up in front of you when you're downed, which actually protect you quite well. So you can try and run away and try and avoid finishing moves people can do. And then you can go try and hide and get revived. So there's some strategy about trying to take out downed people. When you actually die, rather than that just being it for you like it would be in PUBG, your teammates can take your ID card from your loot box that you drop when you die. And if they can deliver that to a special beacon that are located around the map and each can only be used once by your team, they can call on a dropship and basically get a replacement you. And you come back in and you don't have any stuff, but you can sort of get people back in. And that's a real, adding respawns to a battle royale is kind of is that not against the point? But actually it creates these really cool moments where
it's quite expensive, isn't it? Because you want to get to that place.
It is.
It might be being watched by other teams.
Yeah, but it creates these really interesting moments of, I play as the lady that has a rocket launcher on her shoulder that fires a smoke grenade. And I had a game where I managed to, as the entire enemy team was stood around the two corpses of my teammates looting them, I fired the smoke grenade into the middle of all of them, ran through using the good Titanfall bum slide, run and jump stuff that's always felt very good, grabbed both cards and just kept running, ran through the center of the team because they couldn't see me in that moment and then managed to get away and revive them. And that's, that gets you a lot of the happy thank you pings. It's good. And, you know, it's just, it's really solid.
So people stick around then, like they don't sort of, when you die, what happens, like, because it feels to me, I haven't played Fortnite for a while, but when you die in Fortnite, you just automatically just end the game, don't you?
So when your team is wiped, like you can't play anymore, it's just spacebar back to the lobby, right? You're just out. But when, you know, I think if you die, like I've seen people quit because they've died somewhere and they definitely can't be brought back, so they just quit to the main menu or something. But why wouldn't you stick around? It's not that hard to revive your team if you get away with the cards, because the map's pretty big and complicated. Like there are lots of those respawn points. It's just about finding one that's not, you know, like people will hold on for the chance that they're going to come back in a minute, right? So, so you just watch your teammate make a break for it, basically. But yeah, assume you guys haven't played it because I'd like to compare notes more than just ramble about it. But it's, I think for something that I didn't know existed a week ago, it's taken up a fair amount. Yeah.
And not a whisper of criticism as well.
Not that I've seen, no. It's really good. I think, I think the timing's interesting. It's funny how this feels like revenge in some ways, because Titanfall 2, which was a superb game, was sent out to die right between Battlefield 1 and the Call of Duty of that year. And this one feels like it's come along just in time to crush Battlefield 5's own Battle Royale mode, which is only just about to come out.
Oh, God.
And Anthem. Which has been struggling with its own kind of stability problems in its early access.
Because that's really, what I don't associate yet with, Apex feels like a Respawn game more than an EA game. Yeah. I saw a few quotes about, you know, EA had no oversight over this project, you know, like no involvement. It's interesting. I mean, Respawn have always managed to have that Bungie feel about them, being this kind of independent in a large company. But, I wonder whether it's also slightly strategic to, you know, really play on Respawn's name.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, there are things I wouldn't expect to find in an Origin game. Like, you can link your Steam account.
Yeah, actually, I did notice that. Yeah,
and so that's a weird little API hook to put in there for. I don't think I've seen that in any other Origin game. Yeah. So I don't know how much you can
play. So, but then they would be paying the commission when they on purchases.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It makes you wonder what, you know. I mean, obviously, I think, you know, Respawn seems to be getting folded in or hugged closer to the center of EA at the moment because they're making a Star Wars game for them. You know, there's rumors of a new Titanfall, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's interesting that it feels very sort of. It's funny. I don't think it feels totally unlike an EA game necessarily, because it's very much on, you know, on trend, right? Like, it's a very sensible game to make. I don't think you'd have to fight very hard to pitch it to a publisher. But at the same time, it's come out really smoothly and
well, you know,
without too much fuss. So yeah.
And Radical Heights wasn't that long ago, you know, sort of, if we're talking about sort of shooter developers who can do good shoot games, you know, thinking, you know, or trying to do a battle royale game and really not hitting it off. Like, it's not a simple thing to do at all. No, it's not.
Yeah, and I think this is like top to bottom, like how to do it right. Because it's also like a meaningful addition to that genre. It's not a cash-in. Because it's, in fact, it feels like some ways like, oh God, I can't believe I put up with janky inventory systems for this long. I want it to just work, ideally.
And Titanfall, its own multiplayer modes were all playful, you know, really very rules-based, you know, in that kind of way that a Battle Royale game is very rules-based, very... you know,
Yeah, it's that good. I'll definitely play a lot more of it. It makes, and honestly, the sound design is just fucking incredible.
Yeah, those like, guns.
It's just everything's a chunky delight. Yeah. It's crunchy. Pip go asleep if I keep talking about the shoot game.
No, I was listening.
Have you been playing anything, Pip?
Yes.
What?
That's for me to know. Dota Auto Chess.
Dotes? You've been back on the Dotes?
No, I have not. I reinstalled Dota, but only because I have been tasked with finding out about Dota Auto Chess, which is the arcade, you know, the community generated arcade mode-y kind of shenanigans. And it's the thing that has been really popular, for a while now. And it is beyond easy to get a match. It is less than that easy to understand what is going on in a match. So, it's a thing that sounds like it should be like Dota crossed with chess, but it's kind of
crossed with a car.
Well, yes, but it's actually a deck building game crossed with a Merge 3 game. So and
you're playing with Dota champions, heroes, legends,
darlings.
What you're doing is ultimately you want to be the only person with any health bar left out of a group of 8 people who are playing. And what you do is each round divides into different phases. So you've got the earning money phase. You've got the, do you want to spend any of this money on any of these heroes in this, draft phase. Then you've got the, would you like to plop these heroes on the board in some fashion phase using a donkey, which isn't really a donkey. It's actually a little elemental blorping weirdo thing. But that's by the by. And then once you've plopped them onto what is, the aesthetic is of a chessboard, but that's where the similarities begin and end. So you just plonk them down.
It's like a bit of a red herring.
It basically, yes. And then what happens is it picks one of the other players from your group and takes the heroes that they have currently collected and then pits them in a match that auto resolves against yours. And that's like, it's not as straightforward as you both are being matched against each other. It's just that it takes just someone's heroes and pits them against yours to give you a measure of how strong you are in that matchup. So if you lose it, you lose some of your health bar. And if you win it, you win, a bit of gold, you win, some progress. You make progress basically, and your health bar doesn't go down. But the person on the losing end of that doesn't get a penalty because it's only their heroes that are being used. They are off on a different section of this map playing their own, like auto-resolving their own matchup.
Oh, I see. Right.
Which is kind of, I hope that makes sense.
So it's a bit like, I suppose they are a bit more affect you, but like those mobile games, like you mentioned earlier on.
The kind of gacha game kind of thing.
Yeah, where you're kind of setting up something and then other people are playing with your setup.
Yeah, and so ultimately it takes place on this 3x3 grid of like islands. And so each island has this chessboard on and you occupy one of them and everybody else has their own little island. And then in the middle island, there's this like, the Dota logo made out of a little bit of scenery, but it's the most confusing thing to just happen upon. Like the things that explain how you play like flash up for the briefest moment, and then because I didn't even have a chance to start reading it before it disappeared again, and so I was just staring blankly at this thing because it had the chessboard that it had put me in front of wasn't actually the one that I was playing on, for some reason. And so I was super confused because I was trying to buy a hero, but I couldn't seem to put my hero down. It was because my heroes were off screen at this point. Like I had to drag the map and go, I had to go find them. And so I was already quite behind because they'd auto-resolved some conflicts not in my favour by that point because I hadn't deployed anything successfully. And then there's like a whole bunch of other complexities because anything adjacent to Dota has that. So the thing where you earn money at the beginning of, as one of these phases, it's like if you stockpile a bit of money, you actually get a little bit of interest. So you get the money that you got for winning or for still being in the game. Like it breaks down in weird ways. But also for every multiple of 10, you get, one of those as interest. So you can have, okay, well, I won, so I got this, and then I've now got 20 coins at the beginning of this thing, so I now get an extra 2 gold, that kind of thing. And then you sort of get this selection of heroes, and you're kind of like, okay, well, I could take the one that matches the others that I've already got, because you can, when you deploy them, if there's 3 of the same type and level on the board, they merge to form the next level up of that hero. Yep. So you're kind of like, okay, well, I've got 1 clockwork already, and I was going to try and like specialize around that general play style. So I guess I'll pick up the other clockwork that's in this draft that I've been handed. But that means that, you dip down a bit in terms of the gold that you have. So maybe you'll make a bit less next turn, or like there was actually a different, and then you find out that, there's no clockwork in the next draft and the next draft and the next draft. So you're stuck on 2 for ages, and they're filling up some of your slots.
The drafts, the players all share the pool, right? So once you've taken, that's how, it's like a card game in that regard. Like,
yeah, it sounds.
I mean, I don't know, because I'm cobbling this together. I have played 1 afternoon, and this is as far as I have.
You've definitely played more than I have. I played 1 game and was so confused. I read a really long Reddit post about it.
That's
so I can only grab information from this Reddit post. But yeah, so what other players have, you can't have.
Yeah, so I guess if you start seeing loads of Ogre Magi's on the board, you're like, oh, well, there's no point in me starting to collect them. Okay, that's interesting. That's a new piece of the puzzle. So, yeah, but also each hero is assigned a species and a class. So, and if you put multiples of the same of those things out, you get bonuses so you can get a combo bonus, basically. So you can have like multiple goblins, and they will, I can't remember what goblins do, but like, so if you've got like a goblin mage or something, I don't think that's an actual thing, but
wizard is a thing, I think.
Well, yeah, but like what I'm thinking is, because I can remember that mage, if you've got a stack of mages in your collection, then, and you deploy them, then what they do is, I think they lower the magic resist of all the enemy units.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's why I was, because wizard would do something else, I can't remember.
Right.
What is it about Dota that creates incredibly complicated spin-off games?
But then,
I can't think.
It's because people sit down and they're like, this Dota thing is not complicated enough for me.
Yeah. Well, see, and the other stuff that you then need to worry about is when you actually put it on the board. So, so you've got this 8x8 checkerboard grid, and so you use this donkey to drag them into position or like put them back on the sidelines. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, if this is a melee hero, do I want them to be at the front so that the archers, if I put them at the back,
then they will...
Yeah, so there's a spatial element. There's like this buff stacking thing that's going on. There's also the fact that you need to budget some of your coins to level up how good your donkey is at experience, so that your donkey can then let you have, I think they call them chesses, like the actual pieces. Yeah. So it's basically like at the start, you can only have 1 chess on the board, like 1 hero.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? They don't call them heroes chesses. Or darlings.
No, they call them chesses.
Apex chesses.
And so... so you basically feed your donkey.
Do they call them chesses?
You feed your donkey money so that it can put more chesses on the board. And if you put too many chesses on the board, it randomly removes them down to the number that you're currently
it's like a population
smart
limit.
Enough for, or something. And
I like how it's centered on the donkey. Like, this is the donkey's fault.
It's just, it's the most sort of, it's very Dota, basically. And so, so you've got this...
Dragon Dota donkey.
You've got this deck building, you've got this merge 3 thing going on, you've got an economy that you have to keep an eye on, you've got all of this spatial awareness that you need to deal with. You've then got like the list of all 8 players in that in that current like kerfuffle down the side, and you can see how they're all doing relative to you, and like who is doing really well. And if you beat someone that's really good, you get a bit more gold. So you're like, oh, okay. But then sometimes suddenly it's just wolves, and you're like, why are the wolves here? Like,
there's like the dinosaur phase, isn't it?
What?
So
dinosaurs and wolves?
There's basically, you can have, there are phases where everyone then just has to fight non-player units. Right. So it's basically the kind of, okay, well, everyone's going to have to be duffing up golems now. And you're going, wait, but I
mean, as a non-Dota player, it does sound like Dota. It's like absurdly sort of.
I feel like, so where I'm at right now is it feels very much like a bunch of people have decided that new Dota players have it far too easy, and in my day there was no tutorial, and in my day there were no purge videos.
There was no turbo mode.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, we had to trek 5 miles in Frostivus snow just to get a match, you know, that kind of nonsense. And so they've basically just gone, right, well, here's this, good luck with that.
That's so good.
Yeah, Richard Garfield had the temerity to make a Dota-style card strategy game that only had 3 boards at the same time.
See, this was my hot take earlier, and you were just a bit like, ooh, the internet's not going to be fond of you.
It was a bit spicy for me.
It was, Dota Auto Chess is a game that they should have made instead of Artifact.
Well, history's proving you right.
I think the internet will probably agree with you on that one, because Auto Chess has gone down really well.
So the thing is, I think the big thing about Dota Auto Chess, which should we just call it DAC? Dota Chess?
No,
like what?
DAC is the thing. Why is DAC?
I know, it's the Dota Asia Championship.
That's the thing, yeah.
But anyway.
Dota Auto Chess sounds like it should be like, I don't know, for some reason it sounds
like it should be related to Dota or chess.
Yeah. Or
cars.
Yeah, it sounds like a car polish or something. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I can imagine it being shouted in like a Sillet Bang kind of way.
But so the thing is with it is that so obviously there's like all of these little modifiers and complexities that you could genuinely spend time getting good at. But I think that it is also sufficiently forgiving of you just clicking random nonsense that it is quite fun. And even though a game can take a while, because it basically runs as many rounds as it takes until one person is still, I mean, you can leave after you get knocked out, but it's one of those things where those individual phases, because you're not having to actually do the fighting, it auto resolves. And, you know, every time you have to do something, it just feels manageable in a way that Artifact is like, okay, well, you've got a million different choices you need to make right now. What are you going to do? And everything is just, you know, you could just screw yourself in this moment. Whereas Dota Auto Chess is like, you know, might be wolves, dunno. Where are you? Who knows? Why is your donkey making blooping noises and has little trails coming out of it? Because actually it's the IO model that's just got a donkey skin on it. So, you know, that's all fine, right?
I found it much more intimidating than Artifact, but I think
I found it hilarious.
I think it's
Love it.
Things for me, it's like the complete lack of knowing what the fuck was going on made me panic. Whereas I think for you, it felt more inviting.
So I love chaos. You know me. So
that's true.
What happened with me actually was I reinstalled Dota, full on nearly had a panic attack booting it up because I have such an unhealthy relationship with that game. Like, genuinely was like, my tummy was tight. I was just like, I don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. And then booted that up, had instant, like, I have no idea what's going on. And then I was like, actually, I quite like that, because no one knows what's going on.
I don't know what to worry about.
Yeah, but in a way, like, because I sort of, no one was trash talking and no one was being...
Is there chat or anything?
You can use like all chat if you want, but no one was. I think everyone's just like, I don't know what I'm doing, help. Like, and it doesn't give you really enough time in each section to be like, when I had time when a match was auto-resolving for someone else and I crashed out spectacularly early, it was one of those things where I just tabbed out and responded to an email or something and just came back after. And so it's like, it's just so low stakes. I just really liked it. Whereas, you know, so like I say, I booted up Dota, felt like I was going to have a panic attack. Within about 30 seconds, it had asked me to spend 28 quid or whatever it is on that bloody Rubik Arcana. And I was just like, how do I close it? So I closed that window. Then it was like, do you want some Frostivus treasure? It's only $1.99. I'm like, no, leave me alone. Stop it. And then just disappeared off into this cavern of nonsense for a time. So, yeah, I'm just trying to work out how to make it so that I don't have to deal with Dota at all. It's like, no.
Custom launcher.
I want to hide. So, yeah.
It probably is like some sort of command line thing that you can do. Straight in and out.
But yeah, it's like, it feels like the sort of game that does genuinely have a high enough skill ceiling that people could try and get good at it, but that it doesn't matter if you're just titting about. And obviously that's not why you get Richard Garfield to craft a beautiful 3-lane, you know, 3-board, put down all your cards.
Where every decision is beautifully
gorgeously,
knife-edge.
yeah, gorgeously animated, like a card collectathon. But, you know, I like things that go... and I like nobody knowing enough of what's going on to have a go at me for doing it wrong. Because it's like, do you know what? Keep your eyes on your own donkey, my friend. And
Wise
like,
words.
but also because I'm not playing against the actual person, like it's got that once removed, so they can't have a go at me because they're not looking at what I'm doing.
They don't know what happened.
They might think they're playing against me, but they're just playing against my units. It's not. There's no point trash talking me because I didn't put them down. I didn't, you know, do any of that side of things. It's like, I quite like that. So all you've got is this little football league style like ranking on the side, and you just go up or down. And but quite nicely. So it does have a tiny bit to do with Dota, because I guess knowing a bit about which units were melee and which were ranged or what their skills might be let me put them down in the right places, kind of. Ish. So I didn't put like the really fragile characters right at the front, but that was about the extent of all of this strategizing. Anyway, yeah, so I really like it.
Good.
Total recommendation.
Checkmate, Garfield.
How'd you like them Mondays?
Yeah. Good. That was the perfect expression of that. Yeah. Wonderful.
Alex, what have you been up to in the world of games?
I've not been proud of myself. I've dabbled in a few things and not had much time to do enough. But a bit Sun Skies, which I enjoyed.
Good.
I haven't played an awful lot of it. I did play a bit of Sun Skis. Sun Skis.
It's the next
it's
one.
The mountain one.
It's the connecting point, isn't it? You just go down from the skies or the skis into the seas.
If anyone from Failbetter is listening to this, I will write ski free, but it's just like Failbetter ski free, where it's just the Yeti comes along and you have a beautifully rendered conversation about dismemberment.
I'm finding it's weird. I'm finding the text sort of delivery method. I know it's the same fundamental way that when you take a choice and then the screen, you know, the text scrolls up for the next sort of little bit, and then you often have another choice, and there's a button at the bottom that generally either means okay or no, thank you. I I keep missing stuff because it's not scrolling all the way. Or
Yeah,
I don't know,
me
there's
too.
something about it that
Or
the text is too big,
or for some reason I don't
schemes of text too long.
quite register the continue button or something.
right.
Like,
Yep.
not that the click doesn't register, but I don't register to click that one instead of like
Yeah.
the thing that goes back.
Yeah, I
or-
completely missed something, like, and realised just after I'd clicked that, there was something that I should have scrolled for.
It took me
there's
a
another
little
thing
while
where,
to
like,
find where the shops were.
yeah, there's on the left-hand
each
side,
port.
and there's
Yeah.
2 different shops. There's Bazaar.
Yeah,
and,
like it took me a little while to get on.
I was surprised by, given I didn't have these problems in
It's funny,
skis.
last week when we spoke about it, I have the opposite thing, whereas I
Right.
really didn't like the interface in C's very much, and I like this one. Although it does have some, but they just did a patch that fixes a bunch of interface issues.
Oh, was that?
There were some things with like menus not scrolling properly and stuff, so some of
okay.
it may literally have been.
That was
Oh, that's
Monday
cool.
I played, so I don't know when that was.
I think it was during this week that
Okay.
we are now experiencing. So.
Oh, it's all fixed then. Hooray!
Well, no, I'm just saying some things were legitimately on the list of of bugs.
Really enjoying the combat more than skis. Like really tense, sort of.
Strafing a train, fighting a big bug.
Yeah.
I've been bad at strafing because, like, I think that's the only other thing that I struggled with is when I'm facing a slightly different direction,
Yeah.
not remembering whether Q or E will strafe me properly in the direction I actually intend to go.
I strafed
Such
into the
a
bullets.
crapshoot. It's
Yeah.
basically like, well, I'm going to dodge some way. And even I don't know. Enjoy that poker
There's only 2
face.
things it can be, but
Well, it's just like, well, if I don't know, they can't guess.
And I'm sure, that will probably, I hope that will get easier over time. But I think, what it's meant so far is that when I've been going into the combat deliberately and being careful, I haven't been just spinning around kind of and then not remembering which way I'll
Tell me
dodge.
more of this combat deliberately that you speak
It happened
of.
once, just once. But when you do dodge, it's really good. Oh, it's a great feeling when you just like it perfectly skids past you and you kind of make a shot back. So, and obviously the stories and words and things are cool, but that talks about a lot. And I wanted to talk about the kind of some of the sort of
The artwork
feely
is
bits
so good as well.
Yeah.
Something I really wish that I could find a way to do is how to play it as a sort of before bed thing. Like, not in terms of just playing it at, 11 o'clock at night, but, actually having it in some format, not iPad exactly, but like some format that I could read while lying on my side in bed, right?
Yeah. I do struggle to read stuff on my monitor like in that way.
Yeah, like
switch
I wonder
when.
Well, I wonder if there would be a way of like somehow doing like an e-reader version.
Yeah, well, you
Like,
need like sort
just
of like
somehow,
like one of those Evernote kind of apps. Where you can, I'll read this story later. I mean, this is not how it works. Everything's delivered in one paragraph, little burst.
But like, you played the action, you have a little explore, play some action, and then like you then go upstairs to bed. It's then
Just do
sent
the port
you
on your phone.
The text. Then you found out what happened on the boat while you were doing it.
Maybe as you play, it just builds a repository of those things, and you can actually just read it as like a ship's log.
This
kind
is
of.
not a joke. Have you considered
thing.
playing Fallen London?
I used to play it actually,
Because
but
it's that, right?
I think it's more that I'm just trying to think of a way to engage with it, because it feels so much like a lovely, or not lovely always, like terrifying, but a cozy terror story. And, but the important thing to me, the reason why I don't think it would work on like iPad in the same way is the brightness and the way the screens work. That's why I was specifically thinking e-readers, because that e-ink type interface is very different in terms of, I know, I was just going to try, sorry, I've got the droopy microphone and I was sliding down because I didn't want to do the like disruptive having to then get myself out of the slump. But now here we are. Anyway, what was I saying? E-ink, yes.
E-ink.
Squid ink.
Ink.
I think there should be an e-ink version somehow. That would be nice.
I think
I'd
for
like
e-ink.
that.
Yeah.
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 So we don't have time for any questions this week, unfortunately, and I appreciate that I am saying this having only a couple of hours ago put the shout out for questions. But we did get a bunch of really good ones, so maybe we'll do a bumper question section on the next episode. Even so, if you'd like to send us a question for next episode of the Crate and Crowbar, you can do so by emailing us at questions@crateandcrowbar.com. You can also tweet us at Crate and Crowbar. And you can find our community on Discord, with the link for which is on our website. Someone tweeted us to say that it wasn't working. As far as I can tell, it does work. Well, I don't know. Going to check that.
Good tech support there.
After this episode. And yeah, you can find video versions of the podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/Crate and Crowbar. And as ever, thank you to our Patreon backers. However, our Patreon backers should note that you are not being charged for these shorter episodes that we've had recently. So there you go. So don't worry.
Don't worry
about that.
No.
And that's it from us, I believe.
It's Patreon off at the moment.
Indeed. It is. The episodes will appear on Patreon, but you're not being charged. So yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.